TVR Universe, it's me, Dave, and today we're going to give you absolute value. We're going to be looking and discussing some of the best cameras you can think to get as a content creator here in 2021, where we'll be looking at some awesome cameras you may want to think about getting if you've not got them already. We're going to be looking at things like the Canon M50, thinking about the things to think about on your phone, and so much more, so do not go anywhere. We've got absolute value. Now, as I can't help myself, we're going to talk briefly about the Canon M50. Here it is. Oh yes, the Canon M50. You're probably thinking, why? Well, this has technically been replaced by the Canon M50 Mark II, which is pretty much the same. There's about £50 or dollars difference, but this is an absolutely brilliant camera. The only main difference I can tell is when you do live streams, it has a clean HDMI, which basically just means it's easier to stream with, but apart from that, it's pretty much the same. Now, you're probably thinking, why do I love this camera? Now, for those of you that have been and seen this before, just sit back and enjoy the journey, but for those of you new here, this is why I love it. It's easy to use. You're thinking, well, I'm a beginner, I might not know how to use a camera. Well, what's awesome about this, it's pretty much like a point and shoot if you want it to be such. So for example, you can just put it into film mode. I don't know if you can see that. You can literally just put it into film mode, and off you go. You literally just point and shoot. Now, just bear in mind, it does crop the footage slightly, but a lot of cameras do that. You can fix that problem with a bigger lens later down the road. It records in HD and 4K, but obviously not quite up to the 120 frames per second if you want to do slow-mo. But for everyday videos, the frame rate that it does is absolutely fine. But what I really love about this camera is the fact it has a turn screen, which is great for us content creators that are, quite often when you're recording on our own. So you've got that awesome screen, so you can see yourself in the camera, which is great. You'll be like, yeah, just make sure to look at the lens when you're recording, to talk to the audience, all that sort of thing. Obviously, you can interchange the lenses. That's something really to think about. Now, if you don't want to fork out for the Mark II, I would highly recommend still getting the Canon M50. It's still, in my opinion, one of the best cameras for content creators for under $1,000, so bear that in mind. Now, last time I checked, it was about $550 roughly for the M50, and about £50 or $50, depending on where you are in the world, more for the Mark II. So I guess if you're one of these that wants the absolute top of the range and all the features, then obviously go with the Mark II. Now, obviously, if you're a bit more creative, obviously it's fantastic for taking photos. Something I really love about this, actually, is it's really good in low light. Today, actually, when I was filming the second episode of my new series that's coming out soon, so look out for that, The Journey of a Content Creator, it's really good in low light. Even with the kit lens, it's absolutely brilliant because it's a 1.4 lens, making it really good. 15 to 45, so it's really good for wide angles. So if you're doing blogs and stuff like that, really good for that sort of thing, or for whatever film making that you're doing as a content creator or a filmmaker. This really is an all-round camera. It also has an internal or external rather mic jack port, so you can just plug in any sort of microphone you want. You can get a shotgun one to clip on the top, or have it on another tripod, clip on microphone, etc. You get the idea. And what's really good about that, even though the internal microphone on these things are pretty good, as I discovered the other week when I forgot my mic, but obviously it gives you that extra value to improve your audio, which is something to think about, especially when you're recording outdoors. That's briefly some of the things that I love about it. Obviously, if you want to be more advanced, it has tons of settings where you can change the size of the video or photo size, play around with different settings, obviously exposure and shutter speed, and absolutely loads of stuff you can do with it. But to be honest, I'm quite happy just point and shoot and off I go. It seems to do all the heavy lifting itself, so I don't really tend to feel the need to overly play around, because it always produces exactly what I want it to do. That's why I love it. One thing I'd recommend, actually, a little power tip, something I haven't recommended much, just bear with me a second. It's inside the computer. I'm just going to put that down. And what I'd highly recommend, is get yourself a Extreme SD card. This is the, I don't know if you can see that. Oh, no, you can't really see it, sorry. But it's basically a 90-minute megabytes per second. You can actually go up to about 120, if not higher. But basically, if you get an extreme one, I've got a 32 gig. I know some of you may want 64, 128, but personally 16 or 32 is fine. And you're probably thinking, why do I need an extreme one? Because if you're recording in HD and you want that higher quality, or if you're even one of those who are brave enough to record in 4K, if you have a computer or laptop powerful enough to edit with 4K, then it's just highly recommended to get that extra power, because they basically do have horsepower. If you just get a standard SD card, you will notice a bit of a difference, especially if you're doing slow motion or lots of video. So that's something to bear in mind. I'll just leave it there for later, but that's just a little power tip. I'd definitely recommend one of them. And another little power tip on any camera that you get, I would highly recommend getting yourself a spare battery. I've got about 3, but that's because it came with one and I just bought a pack of 2. So I've always got them. Hello, anyway, sorry, I'm just going to say a brief hello to the people in live chat. Hello, DJ, Lady Cuts, welcome to the live stream. Welcome, Brad. Here he is, look, and DJ Dubs is also in the house. I saw a picture of you doing your awesome DJ stuff the other day or last weekend, or whatever it was, and you looked awesome, mate. So keep doing what you do. Feel free, if you're in the live chat, to do your live have any questions, feel free to put them in the live chat and I will answer them best I can. I will now leave it up so I can see when people are doing it. If you want to support the brand, feel free to check out our merch. The link is in the description where you can get t-shirts, mugs, phone covers and all that jazz. And if you're new here, I'm Dave from TVR Creators and I make weekly YouTube tips and video tips, help you grow here on YouTube and make your channels more professional. If that sounds interesting to you, subscribe now. So something I want you to think about then is your phone. I don't have the best phone in the world. I've not ashamed to admit it. But something you might want to think about is your phone. Why do I say that? Why do I say that? Because your phone is the #1 tool as a creator. It's where most of us share things on social. It's where most of us take selfies of projects we're working on, sharing them on social. And for a lot of content creators now, it's also the gadget that we use as a creator when making our videos. Now you're probably thinking, Dave, I know how to use my phone. Well, that may be the case, but there's always things you may not know. You can change around with the camera settings on your phone. On some of the more high-tech phones, you can even play around with exposure and stuff like that and just have a little tinker. Be creative, because cameras on phones nowadays are incredible, especially on phones like the Google Pixel and the latest Samsungs, and to be fair, even the latest iPhones. They all have really good cameras. So you don't necessarily need to have a camera, but I would highly recommend that you do. So have a tinker around with your phone to give your viewers value. Right, just briefly then, I want to talk about some of the cameras you might want to think about. This is also a Canon. It's the R806 HD, and there is a newer version to this now, and I wouldn't recommend this for blogging because the angle on the lens is quite narrow, but I use one of these sort of cameras for quite a while actually. For many years. It was an older Panasonic actually, and I used one of them for years to make a lot of films. Some of them I've posted and since removed off YouTube for different reasons, but but I would highly recommend one of these if you just want to do video work. Maybe you want to do a day in a life and stuff like that. If you haven't got, you know, £500-600 or dollars to spend on the camera, one of these is fine, and you can get a fairly decent one for about $150, something like that. So on a budget, if you just want something separate, because I think as a creator, I think it's really good to have a separate device from your phone. I'm even debating having a separate phone for TVR, just because I just feel the value, because the nicest possible way when I'm doing all my, and I'm sure you creators can relate to this, when you're doing all your social stuff and sharing this and making that in the nicest possible way, when you get a bing off, I don't know, some made up person on on Twitter or say you're trying to send you a message about cheese and you're trying to concentrate. So that's something I'm thinking about doing. But I definitely think as a camera, I think I would highly recommend, and something like this is really easy to use. It doesn't even have a cap. It just opens up straight away. It has a self-steadying device, so as you're moving around it sort of steadies the image, which actually makes me go a bit giddy if I'm honest. But it is actually really good if you're one of these where you're a bit wobbly and you haven't got a tripod for whatever reason, and that's something I would highly recommend. Before we carry on about cameras, definitely get a tripod. You can get one for £15, for goodness sake, on eBay. But if you want something a bit better, like I've got behind here, 30 quid. And you can get ones that come with selfie sticks built in. They're really good value. They're a bit more heavy duty if you've got a more expensive camera. But to be fair, the tripod, as I've said before, that I've got this webcam on, actually, I've had for 15, 16, I lose track, a long time. And I've had it everywhere, in towns, in cities, up mountains. And it's pretty much as I bought it. So it's all down to how we look after our things. But I would highly recommend getting yourself a tripod. It really is a creator's best friend. I think I've used that phrase before. Perhaps that could be a t-shirt. But I would definitely recommend one of them. And obviously we can use natural lighting. But again, I would highly recommend getting yourself a softbox light if you haven't got one already. Now, some of the cameras I wanted to bring to your attention is the Canon M200, which is a brilliant little camera. It is actually very similar to the M50. It's just a bit smaller. It has the same lens on it. It doesn't have a microphone jack, but if you're recording indoors, you know, if you're blogging and stuff indoors, making videos and content indoors, you may not be too bothered at the moment. But they do cost about $400 or $500. So a power tip for you core subscribers out there is get the Canon M100 on eBay. Make sure it's somebody with positive feedback, because I don't want you guys getting rubbish. And there's a really good camera that's almost as good as the M200, the M100, sorry, is equally as good, has almost as many features, but you can get one for about $150. So again, if you're on a budget or you just don't want to spend hundreds and hundreds on this, then that's just a little power tip I would share with you guys, something I'd highly recommend. Now, a camera I've had my eye on, actually. Sadly, you can't change its lenses like you can on the M50, hence why I still prefer that. But it has a fantastic lens. Apparently, it is really good for live streaming. For those, I know more and more of you are live streaming, and that is the Sony ZV-1. I can never say that without really pronouncing it out for some reason. But it's a really good camera. Check it out. It comes with its own little foam on the microphone. Has a really nice microphone, so you can record outside even though it hasn't got a mic jack. But it has a turn screen, which I believe goes sideways as well. And it's actually a little bit smaller again in the M50, so if you want something even lighter. But saying that, just to show you a comparison, if you've not seen it in real life, I've got my old 1300D, which is a great camera really just for taking photos. That's about as far as I'd use it for. I don't know if you can see that, but just see the size comparison. So that's a normal size SLR, if you will. If you got yourself like a real professional £1,500 worth of camera, that's the sort of size it probably would be, versus the mirrorless camera of the M50 and the Sony. And as I'll talk about, the M100 and M200 are smaller than this again. So just bear that in mind. So that's something to think about when you want a camera. But if I was going to be asked what is the best camera, I get this asked a lot. The M50, without a shout of a doubt. Was there any other cameras I wanted to mention before we go on? If you're new here, then I'm Dave from TVR Creators, and I make weekly YouTube and video tips to help you grow here on YouTube. If that sounds interesting to you, subscribe now. And if you're getting value from this video, if you haven't already, you guys, especially you guys watching live, smash the like button, and that means a lot to me, because that basically tells YouTube that you guys are loving this content, and it will share it to the outer world where we can explore and boldly go where no content creator's gone before. Spark, what shall we do? I don't know where I'm going there, but just bear with me. But if you also would like to support the brand, feel free to check out our merch. Link is in the description. And for those of you that I really care about, for those you watch every week, I've got some awesome links to some of the cameras and gear that I'm talking about today. Go and check them out in the description as well for absolute value. And I'm going to talk a bit more about some of the stuff in sort of the after show that I plan to do later. So there we go. Oh, I keep knocking the microphone. Right, I've got some questions now, which came from Instagram and Twitter, which get asked. So I just sort of picked out for them. Feel free to put your comments in the live chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. Anyway, the first question came from Instagram, and it is, what is a good microphone for YouTube? Now, I would highly recommend, love it, live long and prosper. I would highly recommend whatever you can afford. I know that's a bit vague. I can't get them because that means I'd have to like lean over all the cameras. But I would basically recommend getting a clip-on mic. You can get one for about £10-15. I believe there's a link to that in my description. And you can get one that clips on it. Make sure obviously you've got a microphone jack on your camera, or it actually has multiple connections so you can connect it to your phone. I don't know why I got confused with that. And that's just a really good way to improve your audio as a content creator, and something I would highly recommend actually. If you've got a clip-on mic, I sometimes find the sounds a bit hit and miss depending on where you've clipped it. So if you want the best quality sound and you don't want to spend the earth on microphone, get yourself a second tripod for about a tenner. Clip the clip-on mic on top of that, and then just place it nearby wherever you're recording, but out of shot, and that will produce really good sound. And it's cost literally £20, $20. So that's just a little power tip for you core people out there. So that's really, really awesome. I love that. But obviously use a shotgun microphone. And if you've got something like the M50, you can clip one on the top there, which is really handy. Or you could have it, again, you could have it on a second tripod, sort of above you on shot or just out of shot. Doesn't really matter. As long as it's about a foot away, it will record good audio, though the professionals do say above you. But I personally have found, as long as it's close-ish, it tends to produce really good audio. So that's something to bear in mind. And obviously, for those live streamers out there, something like this. Just get yourself a USB microphone. Don't spend any less than £40-50. Get yourself something half decent, or get one with an arm. That will cost about 100. I've got myself the Zoom H1N. I love this microphone. It's technically a dictaphone that I've just clipped into this arm that Brad got us, and it's brilliant. I've used it for sound recordings, and I've used it more now for my live streams. I've been doing this now for, I don't know, about a year or so, live streaming, and it's been absolutely brilliant microphone that I cannot falter. It's an absolutely brilliant piece of gear. Right, second question. That was long-winded, Dave. Let's just see. There's a question flying in. Bear with me. Boom. There's a question flown in. Any tips for filming in very noisy environments, such as a nightclub? That's interesting. Okay, that's an interesting question, actually, Lady Cuts. I suppose it depends on what you're recording. If you're recording yourself, I would highly recommend getting because I do believe you've got a fairly good microphone. But if you're basically recording yourself, say, you're talking and stuff, get yourself a good microphone. Make sure you've got a good foam on the top of the microphone so it cuts out any unnecessary noise. And I believe on a lot of the sound mixers, I believe you can actually cut out background noise and stuff like that. But basically, as long as you've got your microphone about this sort of distance in a noisy environment, it will more or less pick you up. So that would be my main recommendation. But if you're recording, I don't know, someone talking, then just get the microphone within a foot of them talking. But if you just want, everyone to hear you, then just have it on an arm or a tripod close to where you are, and you should be okay. And just experiment, because different environments will be a bit different. I hope that was helpful. And you'd probably have to get a slightly more expensive microphone to because I do know there are microphones out there that do give options to cut out background noise and stuff like that. That's something to bear in mind. So I hope that was helpful. Right, another question I got here. This was also from Insta. Hello, Sounds of Portugal. Welcome to the live stream. Well, I got a second question. This was from Instagram, I believe. What is an easy editing software to edit your YouTube videos? I'm glad that was helpful, Sam. I apologise, it was a bit vague, but I hope that was helpful. So, answering that question, an easy software for editing YouTube videos is the program I use on a weekly basis. Now, just before I tell you what it is, I would say, I know this sounds expensive, but if you can, try and get a couple of free trials of 2 or 3 programs. And the reason I say that is because it's different for everybody. So what I might find easy and helpful, you might not like, and you might prefer a program that I don't like. So I think it's probably different for different people. But for me personally, I use Magic Movie Pro. Love it because it's simple, effective. It has the the transitions that I need. It also comes with like a music maker, so you can mix your own music if you want to, and all that sort of jazz. And it has some cool little effects, and you can actually buy extra stuff if you need it. But the basic version basically comes with all the stuff you need, just basic transitions, plenty of tracks to do your editing on, and it's a great program. And touch wood, though, every time I say this, it starts doing it, but it doesn't tend to crash. And I find that a lot of editing softwares, even the most professional ones, crash often. So that's something to bear in mind. Another question, this came from Twitter actually. How do I get more views on my YouTube videos? That is something that we all want. Sorry if that's making noise every time I do that. I'm just trying to get the best audio to give you guys the best value. Oh, that's an answer we all want. How to get more views. I suppose the brutal truth is we're going to make good content that's relatable. And then on a long-term basis, use our YouTube Studio app that you all have free downloaded on our phones. And use that to identify not what you like or what people tell you they like, as harsh as that sounds, but what YouTube tells you has done well, and make more of them. And then you're more likely to get more views because YouTube has identified the types of people it's going to send your videos to, and they'll be more likely to watch them, if that makes sense. So basically make more of what's doing well, which is basically what I'm trying to do in my shorts video, though it does feel a bit repetitive, but sadly that's what's giving me subscribers and views at the moment. But I love doing these live streams, so don't go anywhere. Anyway, just before I get to the next question, if you're only just joined us, because I know a few people are coming and going. I'm Dave from TVR Creators, and I make weekly YouTube tips to help you build your brand and grow and expand and improve your skills here on YouTube. If that sounds interesting to you, subscribe now. And if you're getting value for all you live people, come on, smash that like button, share this with at least one person, and show the world how awesome this is so we can give you value. Before you say hashtag drink more Dave, I forgot my water, so my voice is gradually going. Wow. Wow indeed. Anyway, another question. This also came from Twitter. And feel free, if you've got any questions, please put them in the live chat, and I will do my best to answer them, as I did with Lady Cuts a moment ago. And if you watch this on the replay, put your comments of YouTube or video, put them in the comments below after this stream or whenever you watch this video, and please feel free to ask your questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. Sometimes I don't get to them a day or two later because YouTube sometimes puts them in withheld, and until I realise that's happened, that's why I'm sometimes a day or two late. But I do make it an effort to make sure I respond to each of your comments. I spent an hour today replying to about 40 comments, which was really cool. Anyway, next question. Whew. Do you need a studio to film your videos? I don't know if I've had that question yet. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say you can film anywhere. It doesn't matter where you want to film. Just think about what's in your background and what your video is about. So say, for example, if you're making cooking videos and stuff like that, you may want to film in your kitchen. If you're doing like video content, you might want to have a few cameras in the background, that sort of stuff. If you're talking about DJ stuff, hint, hint, you might want microphones and all that sort of jazz. So I think it depends on your style, but I think as you become more professional and you take this more seriously, I'm sure those creators and DJs of you out there will appreciate having a studio or a space where you do this creativity is just a great thing to have. And it doesn't have to be, Hollywood. It could be a spare room, an attic, a basement, your garage, maybe just a corner of your room that you just set up because you haven't quite got the room yet. It doesn't matter. As long as you're bringing value and putting a bit of thought and effort into your content and trying to solve a problem and just bring value and up your game as a content creator, that is probably the most important thing. So there you go. And I just can't resist but to throw this in. You're going to get value from this video. Oh, it froze. Wow. Wow. That's not fun. Anyway, that is basically the video. I'm going to add some end cards if I can at the end of this video, though it takes a day or two to process a live stream. So if this is more than a day or two old, I will try and throw in some end cards to give you some more values. But there is 2 links in the description below of audio and lighting, I believe, to help you improve your audio and lighting, specific videos made for you. So if you want to know more about audio, recording audio and how to improve your lighting in your content, go and check out those videos, completely free. So go and check them out. I'm going to do a brief after show, but before I do that, I just want to thank everybody for watching this video live or on replay. Thank you so much. Hope you got value from today's video. Smash the like button if you got value, or if you didn't like it, I appreciate the feedback. If you didn't, if for whatever reason I didn't give you value this week. And anyway, I hope that did give you value. So in a moment I'm going to do a quick after show, but until next week, until the next video, look out for new content. Keep doing what you're doing. As always, guys, you guys rock. Oh yeah. Right, let's go to the after show, which will be brief, or will it? You're going to get value from this video. Hey, it worked! It worked! It worked, damn it. If you've got any questions, throw them in the live chat. I just want to throw some brief things at you. Thank you so much. I genuinely want to say thank you so much, you guys, for watching my content every week, bringing yourselves. You guys are absolute value. I really do appreciate it. I'm making a 4-part series at the moment, which is going to be about the journey of a content creator, but it's more just like specific parts of content creation, just doing it on a different angle. Lady Kurtz, you rock. And just to give sort of, a different look on certain things. And I'm trying to film them sort of on different locations as well to make it more visually interesting. I'm also got in the pipeline, I want to do like a Century Stories stroke film, which will come out in a few weeks or a few months, depending on when I get around to do that. But I do still plan to do that. Also still plan to do maybe a bit of chilling music or re-editing a film that I may post. And I have lots of ideas for things like videos on audio and film and lighting. As I get better at doing it, I want to update the ones I've already done and all that sort of jazz. There's loads of stuff going on. For those of you that do or don't know, please check out my Twitter feed, because I pretty much see that like my main posting wall, if you will. So if you want to know what's going on a daily basis at TVR on projects, or want to update the channel and all that jazz, if you want to keep updated, please check it out. Obviously I do post a lot of stuff on Instagram as well. That's more like behind the scenes or when I'm posting a new video, but it's also cool when I'm doing filming, as you saw the other day. So you can connect with me there. And we have an awesome YouTube community. I'm sort of not using the official page because I know a lot of new people have gone to the old page that I just don't use, so I'm trying to sort of hide that a bit. But if you want to connect with us on the YouTube community, I've now renamed it as just TVR Creators YouTube Community. So for those you already know, please keep sharing your videos and your content, and I try to throw in some tips and stuff like that. I did actually try to do a live chat earlier on there as like a behind the scenes as I was setting up, but the rules of Facebook have changed, not the rules but the settings, and I couldn't work out how to do a live video. They've changed it. I think they've just renamed it as something else. But anyway, that's that as well. And I plan to add a few more bits of photography that I've been doing, that sort of jazz. It's very hot in the studio. The lights are literally burning me here, so and I really need a drink, so I'll probably go soon. But no, generally there was stuff going on, but I've been completely dumbledored. But I just want to say thank you so much for all you that subscribe, like, have bought merch in the past or thinking about doing so. But more importantly, for those of you just watching the content, and actually I want to just briefly say, for those of you that not only listen to the made up stuff that I come up with, but applying it, and I can tell when I watch some of your channels that you're applying it, and I think that for me that is probably the biggest reward, to see some of you guys actually applying stuff that I've either taught you or you've learned elsewhere, or you just learning yourself by being on this YouTube journey. That means the world, just to watch you guys grow here on YouTube, and that just rock. I absolutely love that. So just keep doing what you're doing, and if you can improve on one thing each week, do it. So put in the comments below, what part of your channel are you working on? Thumbnails, lighting, audio, blah, 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 blah. Let us know. Anyway, I'm Dave from TVR Creators. Have a great weekend. I'm going to chill now. Enjoy the rest of your evening. If you watch this replay, you guys rock. And as always, have a great weekend, because effort! You're going to get value.